Who has more economic plans for America, Trump or Biden? A question that sparks curiosity and debate. It's crucial to comprehend these plans to gauge America's potential future. Stay tuned as we delve into each plan and analyze them point by point. Let's first look at the economic plan proposed by Donald Trump. The cornerstone of Trump's economic strategy is his commitment to tax cuts. He believes that by reducing taxes for businesses and individuals, he can stimulate economic growth. It's a classic supply-side economics approach, where the idea is to increase supply and the demand will follow. The next key point is deregulation. Trump's administration has been dedicated to reducing the burden of regulation on businesses, with the belief that this will lead to increased innovation and job creation. The less red tape, the more room there is for businesses to grow and thrive, or so the theory goes. Now let's talk about Trump's trade policy. Trump has been known for his aggressive stance on trade, often favoring protectionist measures. He has renegotiated trade deals, imposed tariffs, and even engaged in trade wars. His goal is to protect American industries from foreign competition and to bring back jobs to the U.S. And speaking of jobs, job creation is another significant aspect of Trump's economic plan. Through his policies, Trump aims to incentivize companies to keep their operations within the U.S., thereby creating more jobs for Americans. To understand the potential impact of these policies, it's important to consider both the short-term and long-term effects. In the short term, tax cuts and deregulation may stimulate economic activity and job creation. However, in the long term, these same policies could lead to increased income inequality and potential risks to the environment. Similarly, while protectionist trade policies might protect certain industries in the short run, they could also lead to higher prices for consumers and potential retaliation from other countries. And while job creation is a noble goal, the methods used to achieve it could potentially lead to other issues, such as wage stagnation or increased reliance on certain industries. That's a brief overview of Trump's economic strategy. Now, let's turn our attention to Biden's plan. Now, let's switch gears and examine the economic plan proposed by Joe Biden. At the heart of Biden's economic plan is a commitment to revitalizing the American manufacturing sector. By investing heavily in domestic manufacturing and promoting the Buy American ethos, the aim is to stimulate economic growth and create millions of well-paying jobs. This plan relies on the assumption that bolstering domestic production will reduce America's dependency on foreign supply chains, thereby enhancing the nation's economic resilience. Next, we delve into Biden's ambitious proposal to invest in clean energy, which forms a significant chunk of his economic strategy. The goal is to achieve a carbon-free power sector by 2035, a target that would necessitate massive investments in green technology and infrastructure. This, in turn, could potentially create a multitude of jobs, while also addressing the urgent need for climate action. However, the shift to a green economy also carries the risk of displacing workers in traditional energy sectors, a challenge that will need to be carefully managed. Finally, one of the most discussed elements of Biden's economic plan is his proposal to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. This move is intended to lift the living standards of low-wage workers and reduce income inequality. Critics, however, argue that it could lead to job losses, particularly for small businesses. Supporters counter that the increased spending power of workers could ultimately stimulate economic activity and offset any potential job losses. In essence, Biden's plan is a blend of traditional economic stimulus measures such as investment in manufacturing and progressive policies like the transition to a green economy and raising the minimum wage. All of these measures are aimed at achieving sustainable economic growth, creating jobs, and fostering a more equitable society. That gives us a basic understanding of Biden's economic vision. Next, we'll compare the two plans. Now that we've outlined both plans, it's time to compare them. Let's start with a broad view. Both Trump and Biden put forth economic plans with the aim to bolster the American economy, yet their approaches differ significantly. Trump's plan leans towards laissez-faire economics, favoring deregulation and tax cuts to spur economic growth. On the other hand, Biden's plan takes a more interventionist approach, focusing on public investments in infrastructure, clean energy, and education. Let's delve into the specifics. In the realm of tax policy, Trump proposed to extend the tax cuts implemented during his first term, arguing that lower taxes stimulate economic growth. Contrastingly, Biden proposed to raise taxes on corporations and wealthy individuals to fund his public investment plans. In terms of job creation, both plans promise to bring more jobs to Americans. Trump's plan relies on the private sector to generate jobs, arguing that reduced regulations and lower taxes would incentivize businesses to hire more. Biden's plan, however, seeks to create jobs through public investments in infrastructure and clean energy. When it comes to sector-specific impacts, Trump's plan favors industries like fossil fuels and manufacturing, which he believes form the backbone of the American economy. Conversely, Biden's plan aims to transition the economy towards clean energy and technology sectors, arguing that these industries are the future of economic growth. In terms of trade policy, Trump's plan continues his first term's focus on renegotiating trade deals to protect American industries. Biden, however, seeks to rebuild international relations and rejoin international agreements, arguing that global cooperation is essential for economic growth. The key differences between the two plans lie in their underlying philosophies. Trump's plan is rooted in supply-side economics, believing that reducing barriers for businesses leads to economic growth. Biden's plan, on the other hand, is rooted in Keynesian economics, which emphasizes government spending as a tool to stimulate the economy. That being said, there are also similarities between the two plans. Both recognize the importance of American industries and propose measures to protect and promote them. Both plans also acknowledge the role of tax policy in shaping the economy, albeit with different proposed approaches. In conclusion, both plans offer different pathways to economic growth. Trump's plan bets on the private sector and deregulation, while Biden's plan leans on public investments and an active government role. The impacts of these plans, however, would not be uniform across all sectors, with some sectors benefiting more from one plan than the other. That was a quick comparison of both plans. Let's summarize what we've learned. As we wrap up, let's revisit the key points of both economic plans. First, we dove into Trump's economic vision. He aimed to stimulate the economy primarily through tax cuts and deregulation. His plan was to reduce the corporate tax rate, and he did, slashing it from 35% to 21%. This, in theory, would encourage businesses to invest more, creating jobs and pushing economic growth. He also sought to cut red tape, eliminating regulations that he believed stifled business growth. His administration prided itself on the removal of nearly 8 regulations for every new one implemented. On the flip side, we examined Biden's economic blueprint. His approach is distinctively different. Biden focuses on public investment and progressive taxation. He proposes to increase the corporate tax rate back to 28%, still lower than before the Trump administration, but higher than the current rate. Biden's plan also calls for significant investment in infrastructure, education, and clean energy. He believes that these investments will create jobs, stimulate economic growth, and position the United States as a leader in the global economy. In comparing the two, the differences are clear. Trump's plan leans towards laissez-faire economics, reducing the role of government and allowing market forces to drive growth. Biden's plan, however, leans towards Keynesian economics, where government intervention is seen as necessary to stabilize the economy and promote growth. But it's not all black and white. Both plans share a common thread: the belief in the American economy's potential. Trump's plan seeks to unleash this potential through businesses, believing that a thriving private sector leads to a healthy economy. Biden, on the other hand, sees the government as a key player in unlocking this potential, investing in sectors that the market may overlook. The impact of each plan on the economy is a topic of much debate. Some argue that Trump's approach could lead to short-term growth but may leave the economy vulnerable to shocks. Others suggest that Biden's plan could result in long-term stability, but with the risk of increased public debt. In the end, the effectiveness of an economic plan is not just about the number of policies it contains. It's about how well those policies address the unique challenges and opportunities that the economy faces. Regardless of who has more plans, the ultimate goal is to improve the American economy. Remember, an informed citizen makes the best voter. Thank you for joining us today.